fire-breathing swamp buggies attacking the course at Florida Sports Park. But today, the sippy hole will be filled with old Detroit iron, because coming up next, it's the monsters romping through the swamp. This is Trucks and Tractor Power, featuring the superstars of the four-wheel and off-road Jamboree Nationals Monster Truck Challenge. Welcome to Trucks and Tractor Power on the National Network. Today we're at Florida Sports Park in Naples for the four-wheel and off-road Jamboree Suncoast Nationals. Hi everybody, I'm Gary Lee alongside Army Armstrong, and the race fans in this part of the country expect to see this facility underwater because, Army, this is where they race the swamp buggies.
Well, Gary, you know, the swamp buggy races, I watch them on TNN just like all the folks out here today do, and you're right, this place normally is under 4 feet of water. But they drained the pond, they brought in a whole lot more clay, and the finish line today is what is normally known as the sippy hole, the obstacle course for the swamp buggy racers, but today it's going to be the opposite. It'll be the opposite because the monster trucks will fly over what's normally the sippy hole.
So side-by-side monster truck racing from the south of Florida coming up next. Today on Trucks and Tractor Power, we truly are on the edge of the Everglades in Naples, Florida.
Well, Gary, these people normally are used to a lot of horsepower and water. Today, they're going to see the Monster Truck Air Force.
We've already gone through qualifying, and Bigfoot 8, to no one's surprise, Andy Brass, the fast qualifier up against Tropical Thunder in round 1. Then it's King Crunch and Boss Gator. Also in round 1, the Carolina Crusher against Black Stallion. Snakebite, Colt Cobra goes up against the Toyota High Expectations. And it's Taurus against No Problem. The first round fast loser advances to round 2. So once again, the fast qualifier, there he is, the blue truck, Bigfoot 8 out of St. Louis, Missouri. The driver is Andy Brass. This is the two-frame. They all copy a winner. That's what they're going to now. And Andy goes up against Wayne Smozanik in Tropical Thunder. Wayne, a local boy from Jupiter, Florida, wanting to do well here before the local fans. His partner, Ted Holden, is in the grandstand, so he wants a good ride here this afternoon. He goes up against Andy Brass. And let's go down now to the pit area, some observations from Army Armstrong.
Hey, Gary, I just found something kind of interesting back here in the pit area. The Tropical Thunder crew, they just purchased a new set of axles and housings and steering assembly for the truck. They're trying to update their equipment. Where they got this equipment from was the Bigfoot team, but where it started life from, you kids get this, these are rear end assemblies out from underneath school buses, just like the one you took to school today.
Oh, Army, they didn't go to school today. This is the weekend. I tell you what, I love that jacket. You can't get lost in the crowd, can you?
Hey, they did go to Sunday school, Gary.
All right, Bigfoot goes up against Tropical Thunder.
A lot of pressure on this local kid. Not going to do it, Jerry. Andy Brass, the number 8 truck, looking awfully, awfully strong.
I think in that case it was just superior equipment in Bigfoot 8. You could see the torque coming off the line right here. Andy had the whole shot.
Well, just a moment ago I was telling you about the new equipment that the Smozanik team's buying. Look at the way that the Bigfoot truck lands. It's landing soft. Smozanik old-style truck's not going to work.
Well, let's go down now and check in with Andy Brass.
Andy, tell me about the track out there this afternoon.
That track's a lot different from what we thought it was going to be. It's a real sandy track. All the guys thought we was just going to be breaking the tires loose on the line and spinning between the cars there, but it's real soft. There's a lot of water in the sand, and it's biting real hard, so everybody's trying to come off the line a little easier, and the guys are starting to change a lot of gear ratios. We made our first run, and now we're going to go back and change the truck accordingly.
Good enough. We'll see you in the next round.
All right, Army.
And just like other forms of motorsports, it's a case of reading the track, making sure you know what the truck wants in any given track conditions. Here's a look at the Ford Boss Gator. This is Jimmy Harrington, another local boy out of Florida, out of LaBelle, Florida. And he pulls up alongside the Texan, Scott Stevens, the Auto Value King Crunch. And Scott has had a tough year so far. He's been upside down a number of times.
Yeah, he spent, I think, more time on his lid than he has on tires, but that's racing. That's the kind of competition you're going to see here. Something else you're going to see here, the old-style trucks in the far lane, Stevens with the new-style truck. We keep talking about that, but once the spectator at home can see the difference, look at that. The new suspension, this sport, the technology in this sport is phenomenal.
Well, it's certainly a problem, though, with the Boss Gator Ford truck.
Well, it was just too stiff. It's too rough a ride. Stevens, like I say, he absorbed the energy like a sponge. This would be a good class project for a mathematics teacher all over the country. Kids can figure out how absorbing that energy works. You talked about my jacket. Look at your gloves on the lineup.
No, I like that jacket. You got to get me a jacket like that. There's Gary Porter, the Carolina Crusher, and he could well be a guy to beat here this afternoon out of Wadesboro, North Carolina. Gary Porter in a Chevrolet. He goes up against Mike Votters in the Black Stallion Ford.
The Porter is notorious for his starting line. Votters comes onto the tour. It's about the 5th race we've had a chance to see this kid. He's trying to come up and go head-to-head with the big guys. Let's see if he can do it. Chevrolet on the right, Ford on the left. Porter in a far lane, notorious for strong starting line leads. Hey, this kid in the Ford gets off with him, Gary.
Oh, it's head-to-head right now, but look at that. Over the second jump, it was the Carolina Crusher.
Andy Brass, in the interview a moment ago, said you could put the horsepower to the track between the jumps. It's exactly what Gary Porter did.
Taking a look again, they come off the line, fender against fender. But about right here, the Carolina Crusher nails the hammer. Gary Porter has the advantage before he gets over that second set of cars. And looky here. Here he is, Colt Cobra, the snake bite, out of Cobra Creek, Colorado. Who is this guy? Well, he's a fan favorite right now. And the snake bite will go up against a most unusual truck, a Toyota powered by a 454 Chevrolet engine. This is Scott Palmer out of Jacksonville, Florida.
Now, Colt Cobra comes into this thing kind of like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Who is this guy? You're exactly right. Nobody knows. Everybody's speculating as to who it is, but bottom line, he's going to tell you he's the best monster truck. And it's got to be working, because you notice the name Hot Wheels on the side. This guy has only been on tour half a year and signed a major sponsor already.
Well, talk about a snake bite. Scott Palmer finds himself snake bitten at the starting line. High expectations. The Toyota with the 454 Chevrolet power plant never got off the starting line. Coming right at you. And there is Colt Cobra in the snake bite truck, and he's standing by with Army.
Well, Colt Cobra, be very honest about it. The first run wasn't that tough on you. You ought to be ready to go in this next one.
That's right, Army. We come into this race, we knew we were down. You know, our truck weighs about 14,000 pounds. You know, everybody's calling us the bad guys. Well, let me tell you one thing. They ain't seen bad, but it's coming.
Well, he can be mouthy, Army, but he can also back it up with his right foot as we take a look at John Moore's No Problem, another unique vehicle here on the circuit. This is the Bronco out of Lafayette, Tennessee. John Moore, No Problem, the Ford. And he goes up against, well, a newcomer as a driver, but certainly a talented driver. This is Eldon Depew driving Taurus out of Granite City, Illinois, just across the river from St. Louis. Uncle Jack Willman, the truck owner. Jack Sr. and Jr. both have driven. Now it's Eldon Depew in the cockpit as Taurus goes up against No Problem.
Boy, John Moore drills him on a line. Depew's got to pull it back in the middle.
He does. He does. Oh, he almost comes over on the nose and nose over at the finish line. You're right. John Moore had the whole shot. Eldon Depew had to come from behind.
But what that is the fact that Moore is one of the old pros. He knew what he's got to do to get to this kid, and he did it. But Depew had something Moore didn't have on this run. He had the horsepower.
He got the whole shot, but Eldon takes the victory, and he's with Army.
Gary, we're standing with a young man right now that's kind of showing us how cool he is. Eldon, John Moore tried to play mind games with you, rocking back and forth and everything. You just kind of stayed with it and ran your own race.
Yeah, I don't pay much attention to the other person on the start line. I just get up there and do my own thing and make sure I'm ready.
How about the truck pulling on the other end? That's what won the race for you, not the starting line.
Yeah, the truck runs real strong, you know. I just want to get over the first set of cars smooth and then hammer for the second set.
That wraps up round one competition. A good crowd on hand here in the south of Florida, but you have the best seat in the house, so stay tuned. We're coming back for round two competition from Florida Sports Park in Naples, Florida. Gary Lee and Army Armstrong back at Florida Sports Park here in Naples, Florida. We are ready for round two action. Before that, Army, you have some observations.
Gary, we've got a very unique situation on the starting line of this track, and it all goes over the characteristics of the surface. The drivers in the first round said, good biting track, I love it. That's changed. The reason it's changed is the moisture that is normally in this area. Now, keep in mind, this area is normally under 3 feet of water. It's been drained. The track at first, real good bite, real good clay, but what's happened now is starting to get soft. There's an indentation right here. Right here is normally where the rear wheel will sit on a monster truck. The trucks are either starting down in the indentation or back up on the clay that they've dug out and moved back. They're either starting on a little knoll or down in a valley. No matter where they're starting, it's not good for the monster trucks. The trucks are really starting to handle spooky. It'll start on this end, but the problems will show up on the other end.
I like those red Simpson driving shoes. They're getting a bit dusty, though. Round 2, Bigfoot will take on No Problem. No Problem, the fast loser from round 1. Then it's King Crunch against the Carolina Crusher. Also, round 2 competition will find Snakebite going against Taurus. All right, we're all set now. Round 2 here in Naples, Florida. And Army, there's a look at Gary Porter in the Carolina Crusher, and he goes up against the Auto Value King Crunch of Scott Stevens.
These guys have gone head-to-head many, many times, Gary. It's a heads-up race. GMC on the left, Chevrolet on the right. They know the game plan. When that goes green, we're racing. Porter, start line. Stevens got to pull him back on the other end.
Oh, Porter gets him by a fender. Porter has always said he likes the long outdoor tracks, and that truck has always had the horsepower. It's always had the muscle. It might get beaten off the start, but he has the muscle down through no man's land.
Yep. On monster truck racing, you've got the first jump. Then this area right here is where they can plant the horsepower and fly. That's what Porter did.
Porter wins it by a fender, and look at this. They almost get together in the shutdown area. They certainly respect each other's driving, and Porter has made his way over to Army Armstrong.
Gary, when you and Scott line up, it's just a no-holds-barred deal, isn't it?
That's right. I knew Scott was running hard, and, you know, I knew I was going to have to push my truck really hard to take the win, and I think that was the fastest time of the weekend right there so far.
As Porter goes back to make some refinements to his truck, we take a look at Eldon Depew, the youngster out of Granite City, Illinois, over by St. Louis, and Taurus on the right side. And there is Colt Cobra and Snakebite on the left side.
Now, Colt had an easy run in the first round. Depew did not. First jump, they're even.
Eldon Depew, Army by only a fender. You're right. They were side by side coming off the line. No one had the whole shot advantage, but it was superior horsepower by that truck right there. Taurus, Eldon Depew, he got him in no man's land. Headed for the, watch this again now, heading for the finish line. And right here, under power, Eldon Depew takes the victory and defangs the snake, and he is down there trackside with Army.
Eldon, it looks like about the first foot and a half of the track is starting to break up under you guys. Will that affect the truck?
Yeah, you know, it's a little soft on the starting line. You're starting to dig some holes, but I think once we get down to the harder stuff again, it'll be all right.
So everything's okay? You ready to go in the next round?
Yeah, we're ready to go.
Gary, he doesn't realize this is South Florida. There's no hard stuff under that sand. It's all sand.
And here is John Moore. This is No Problem. Now, John was the fast loser from round 1, so he gets to advance into round 2, and look who he draws. Bigfoot 8, Andy Brass.
Well, some days are diamonds and some days are stones. There's your gloves again, Gary.
Now, I like your red Simpson driving shoes and that wild jacket you had on earlier.
Well, one thing for sure, the Ford people are going to like this race.
Now, they can't lose in this one. Pickup truck against Bronco, but it's all pickup. Bigfoot 8,
Man,
Andy Brass.
I told you at the beginning of the show, you're going to see the Monster Truck Air Force. Andy Brass is a fighter pilot.
Well, we talk about superior equipment. We have to talk about a combination of chassis, this two-frame chassis, the race truck, plus the horsepower being developed by that big Ford engine.
But they got to work together. You got to remember that. You don't put the truck on the ground, the horsepower's not going to do you a bit of good in the middle of the air.
A good crowd on hand. They're appreciative, and certainly the weather has been so hospitable here in South Florida as we look at the semifinal matchups. Bigfoot against the Crusher and Taurus against King Crunch. He is the fast loser from round 2. And now let's go down and talk to Andy Brass.
Andy Brass, you're going against a guy you've run many times, Gary Porter. You got any type of thought on this run?
Well, we've just been watching the lights. We're going to try to play the light real close. You know, we're making a gear change over in the truck right now. We made a real good run. Our time's been running better than Gary's, but, you know, they've been doing a little work to the track, so things might shape up a little bit, and it's going to be a good close run. We're just going to have to push it hard.
Well, Andy Brass has won his share, but Gary Porter has been on a roll. He is hot. That should be a good matchup. But first, we have the semifinal matchup between this guy right here, the youngster Eldon Depew in Taurus, and he goes up against Scott Stevens out of Texas in the Auto Value King Crunch.
You got to remember, Gary, Depew has been late all day long off the starting line. The trucks had to make a lot of horsepower mid-range in order for him to get to the Final Four. Stevens knows that. Hey, now Depew is on time on that light.
Depew was off the line, and he had the horsepower and takes what most would consider an easy victory. There is Taurus. He will go into our championship shootout here this afternoon in Naples as we take a look again.
Yeah, I tell you what, the kid was on the light. Congratulations to him. You know, time in the seat, you know how important it is. Well, he seems to be awfully relaxed, but the most important thing, he's half the final. Who's going to be the second half? That's the big question, Gary.
Well, he went to school the first 2 rounds, and he took what he learned to that semifinal round to knock off the Auto Value King Crunch and Scott Stevens. And look at the size of that victory. Here's Eldon with Army.
Gary, we're talking to a guy that took the monster truck race and literally like a duck takes the water. You seem to just be a natural at this sport.
Yeah, you know, I've been around it for a while. You know, my Uncle Jack's been driving for a long time. Watched him, you know, watched my cousin Jackie. You know, I just learned from the best.
Well, yeah, I agree with that now. It's final time. You know that you're going to be there. Do you have any preferences to who you're going to run? The Ford of Bigfoot or the kid with the Carolina Crusher and the Chevrolet?
They're both tough competition. You know, whoever gets there, I hope to beat them, though, too.
And now we will determine who he goes up against. Will it be Bigfoot 8, Andy Brass out of St. Louis, Missouri, or Gary Porter, the Carolina Crusher, Chevrolet against Ford?
The trick is not to get a lot of air on the first set of cars. That's what the Few's doing. He's actually driving over the first cars. Then he can use that horsepower with all 4 wheels on the ground between the jumps. So these guys have watched the rookie, the Few. They figured his groove, if you will. Let's see what they do.
So you're talking about self-discipline. As that light turns green, you nail the hammer, but don't nail it too hard.
There they go, both of them. Oh, that was a good
fender victory for Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher.
Wow, it's going to be an all Chevrolet final in Naples, Florida, and these people are pumped, Gary. Look at this.
Well, I think any time that someone like Andy Brass, that has won so many times, is defeated, the fans enjoy somebody else in victory lane. Today it will be somebody else, because right there the victory goes to Gary Porter, and here's Gary.
Gary, we're at the final time of the event. We got a couple of different scenarios here. Number one, experienced driver Gary Porter going against a rookie. Also, Porter is a leaver, and the kid on the rookie stripes is a top-end charger. Gary, who's going to win this thing?
Well, hopefully I will. You know, it's going to be a very good race. Tars, he's running really strong. Elton is doing a superb job driving the truck. You know, it's going to be a real close race. I'm just going to have to watch the light real close and hope I can come off the line hard.
You have to push that light in order to get ahead of this kid, because you know he's going to be closing on you like a fast-moving freight on that finish line end.
That's right. You know, he knows I'll be right there, and I know he'll be right there, so both of us will be playing the light as close as we can and trying to get a good start.
Well, I think the only thing we can do here is just hold her to the floor and hope for the best.
It's the Crusher and Taurus vying for the checkered flag here in Naples. The sports park here in Naples, Florida. Gary Lee along with Army Armstrong at the 4-wheel and off-road Jamboree Suncoast Nationals. These jamborees offer a host of activities, not only for the truck lover, but for the entire family as well. To find out more, call or write the Special Events Promotion Company. Well, we are down to the final 2. It will be the Crusher and Taurus for the championship here in Naples, Florida. And Army Armstrong, your thoughts on the championship shootout?
Gary Lee, we got a unique situation here. We got the old veteran here, Gary Porter, been through these wars many, many times. His advantage is going to be on the starting line end of the track. The other side of the coin is this new kid. He may be a new kid in age, but I tell you what, he's driving like an old pro. He's going to have a top-end charge. He's going to be like Katie bar the door. So he's going to win this one. I really think if there was ever such a thing as a toss-up, this is it. The only common denominator, both Chevrolets in the final. Let's go.
Ford fans are somewhat disappointed that perhaps Bigfoot is not in the final, but it will be Chevrolet against Chevrolet. Gary Porter, the Carolina Crusher, Eldon Depew, and Taurus.
But there's another common denominator here, Gary. We opened the show talking about the technology in the sport. You hear Andy Brass talking about changes during the race and everything. The new trucks, the new style, 2 of the newest, are in the final.
All right, it's the youngster in Taurus, the veteran in Crusher.
Oh, heads up start, both drivers. Now they're in no man's land. Horsepower pays off.
Well, it's the Carolina Crusher with Gary Porter, but I think Gary had the advantage. I think he cut a better light.
He did. Boy, he drilled that tree, and it paid off on the other end.
Watch again. Watch the left-hand lane. Yeah, he cut a real nice light.
Down. See, he settled down in no man's land, and the Depew was bouncing a little bit. That's all Porter needed.
The chassis was working along with the horsepower. Gary Porter wins it. He takes the championship, and he's with Army.
Gary, the starting line advantage worked to your favor, but when the truck settled down in no man's land, it went like a rocket.
That's right. I was getting a good start. I was watching the light really close, getting a good start. As soon as the truck would land over the first set of cars, I would shift to second gear, and then I would just pop third gear and just hang on.
Just settle down and made horsepower. Congratulations to you, Gary.
Okay, thank you.
And that wraps it up from Florida Sports Park here in Naples, Florida. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to be with us next week for another edition of Trucks and Tractor Power. And now, here's news of an exciting home video release from Diamond P Sports.
Here we roll again. All new from Diamond P Sports, it's Shake, Battle, and Roll 2. Call this number for Shake, Battle, and Roll 2. A brand new 70-minute thrill ride with the movers and shakers of tractor pulling. Nitrous-powered mud warriors in breathtaking battles, and monster trucks rolling with the punches as they duke it out in a sea of scrap iron. This all-new release features all stars from the worlds of monster truck racing, mud bogging, and truck and tractor pulling. Now, their racing strategy is simple. Shake, battle, and roll. 1-800-538-8900 is the number to call for this video only. Or send check or money order plus shipping and handling to this address. Visa and MasterCard accepted, no CODs. Call now, 1-800-538-8900. And call this same number, 1-800-538-8900, to get the new Diamond P T-shirt, sizes small through extra large. 1-800-538-8900. Order now.